Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Bow and Arrow Tarot. Today we're going to get right into the 2020 outlook for the sign of Capricorn. Alright, we got 3 more signs to do, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces for the 2020 outlook. And so let's get right into it, okay? Now, of course, there is your December love reading is up, and your weeklies are up. And those are all linked below. And of course, this month I am giving away the Spirit Animal Oracle deck. There we have it, okay? And I have unboxed it, but you will, of course, if you're the winner, get a brand new one. And the unboxing video is in the top of the description as well. And there you will be able to go through each and every card, right, with me. I go through all the cards so you can see all of the animals and see all of the beautiful imagery. And in order to win that, all you have to do is be subscribed to my channel and just let me know in a comment somewhere that you are interested in receiving the deck. I just don't want to give it to anyone that is not interested. And that's the only reason I'm asking for the comment. Really, it's just very much a random giveaway to one of my subscribers, and I don't want you to have to work for it in any way apart from being my subscriber and letting me know that you want it. Okay, my dear. All right, so let's get right into it for our lovely Capricorns. You can follow me on Instagram as well, Facebook. The links are there, but it's basically Bow and Arrow Tarot on all the social media channels, so it'll be very easy to find. And we have 3 of Swords. Wow. Covered with the 10 of Wands. We have 6 of Cups. All right, Capricorn. All right. King of Cups. 4 of Cups. And the Magician. Your attitude toward the year is an 8 of Pentacles, and so you have very much a work ethic. You're really working on your grind, as usual, Capricorn. That never seems to change, right, with Capricorns. 5 of Pentacles is what you round the year off with. Ace of Wands is your position of your hopes and dreams and your fears. And let's see what's at the bottom of the deck for you. Wow, 8 of Swords. Okay, so Capricorn, this is a real year. For you to deal with a lot of sort of toxic energy in your personal relationships. Yet, as I've been seeing with all my readings, there is definitely abundance and money and opportunity coming in. So let's get right into it, Capricorn. All right. At the center, I'm going to go back to the 8 of Swords energy. I don't want to get into that just yet. Let me get right into your center card. Right at the center, we have a 3 of Swords. So this year is a year of healing for you after a very difficult sort of heartache, pain to the ego as well. And 10 of Swords, 10 of Wands is covering you, which is really, you've had enough. 10 of Wands is a time in our lives where we decide that we've had enough suffering. We've had enough holding on to things that are upsetting us. And so this is going to be a huge year of healing for you, Capricorn. This is going to be a Capricorn who really, really had their heart broken in some kind of way. Now, let me explain the nature of the 3 of Swords so I can be very clear here. 3 of Swords, first off, 3 is the number for bonding and loyalty, right, Capricorn? So, and this is a Swords card. It is not a Cup card. Oftentimes, it's attached. It's approached as if it is a Cup card, but it isn't. It's a Swords card, and Swords are to do with mental, the mind, communication, our sense of self, and our ego. Right? This is all associated with Swords. Now, when we have 3 being the number, for loyalty, right? The 3 being the number for loyalty, for bonding, for patience, for virtue. 3 of Swords, here we find what has happened is that somebody has broken that bond, somebody has broken your trust. Now, oftentimes this card is associated with third-party energy or cheating, but somebody cheating on you is just a very sort of a simple example, or I would say grotesquely simple example of the essence of this card. This card is really a lot more, the heartache is a lot more to do with the feeling that we have been duped or that we have been tricked in some kind of way, that we have been lied to, that our intelligence has been insulted, right? It's the ego that hurts here, right? The heart hurts. Yes, the heart hurts. Of course, the heart hurts when we realize that somebody perhaps that we're in love with has been seeing somebody else. Again, that example, right? But you have to admit that a huge part of that pain is humiliation, embarrassment, feeling as though we've been tricked. Our ego has definitely taken a huge blow, right? So a lot of this is associated, a lot of this heartache is actually associated with this feeling that somebody has really sort of taken us for granted and somebody has really insulted our intelligence. Now, this is why these situations can get so volatile. Because when you think of a situation that's really just a heartache, when somebody, for instance, when somebody breaks up with you because they no longer are in love with you, right? Say this has happened, right? When you're young, it happens when you're young a lot, and when you get older, you deal with all kinds of other, toxic reasons. But this is not a toxic reason. This is a normal thing that happens, right? Especially, and I take the example of being a young person. You fall in love, and then you fall out of love. You're no longer in love with the person. So the person hasn't cheated on you. They haven't treated you bad in any kind of way. They're just no longer in love with you. And if the person is healthy enough to tell you that, what is the overriding feeling that we have in that situation? Just pure sadness and heartbreak, right? But we don't naturally go to a place of vengeance. We don't naturally go to a place of wanting to strike back or wanting to be spiteful, right? That's not really the type of emotion that most people will go to when somebody has simply fallen out of love with them. But when somebody has cheated on you, or when somebody has proved to you that they don't love you even though they said they loved you, and they've lied to you about it, or they've done something in some kind of way to break your trust or loyalty, this is where we begin to feel very, most of us will initially, of course, feel angry, vengeful, spiteful. We'd want to get our own back on them. Paranoia can come in. All of these very sort of baser emotions can come in because when we're dealing with that type of a scenario, we're dealing with a blow to our ego and not so much a heartbreak, even though many of us will try to get ourselves to believe, oh, I'm so heartbroken. I'm so heartbroken, I'm going to go slash her tires. I'm so heartbroken, I'm going to go fuck his life up. You know what I mean? It's you have to understand the Three of Swords brings with it a certain toxicity because right away it is our ego that has been pained. And oftentimes if we don't if we don't draw on sort of some strength, literally Major Arcana 8 card for Leo, strength, energy to kind of rise above that, it can be very quickly that we fall into similar toxic ways of the person who hurt us. Now, I got into this card a little bit deeper because I want you to really understand the nature of the Three of Swords and the nature of the pain that is caused by the Three of Swords so that you can heal from it. Right? If we assume that this is just simply a heartbreak, then we can't really heal properly. We have to accept that this type of heartbreak is also an opportunity for us to deal with our own egos, to deal with our own our own little bits of toxicity, right? Because oftentimes this type of energy will bring it out. Now, what happens is you're covered with a Ten of Wands, and a Ten of Wands is an energy of deciding that enough is enough. I have had enough suffering. And so to have this coming over this Three of Swords, I think for you, Capricorn, this is very, very good. This is really the hard first step that we all take towards inviting healing into our lives. This is definitely going to be for a Capricorn who has come around the corner. They've turned the corner. It may have been some time. I always talk to people in my readings, in my private readings. By the way, if you want to book a private reading, I'm going to link the link up at the top of your video right there for a few seconds. But I do a lot of private readings where people oftentimes they will talk to me about, this feeling of sort of like, I just broke up and I don't know how to move forward. I don't know how to move forward. And I will ask them, okay, give me the details about this breakup. And it may have only happened a few months ago, right? Now, this is very different from people who are holding on to breakups that happened 5 and 6 years ago. But there is a grieving period whenever you break up with anyone, whether you break up with them or they break up with you, whether it was volatile or not, whether, whatever the situation was that caused a split or a divide, which naturally this would, there is a grieving period for all parties involved at some point or another. Even for those people who act like even for the offender, as it were, if they seem as though they're getting on with their lives, trust me, the grieving period will come to them at some point later on when they realize what they've done, right? But for the person who's been heartbroken, there is a period of grief. Now, this is what I'm saying, Capricorn. I think this Capricorn, you have already grieved for a while. You've already done that. You have already, it may have been some time. Now you're in this space where you're like, look, you know what? I don't want to feel sad anymore. I don't want to grieve anymore. It's over. You're probably waking up now, not thinking about it anymore. This could be very much the energy. Now, 10 of Wands is just in general a period in your life where you are ready to lay down your burdens. And a lot of these burdens and baggage also can not only is it suffering at the hands of others, but it is suffering that we put on ourselves when we talk about ourselves negatively, when we have low self-esteem issues or self-negative thinking that loops around, when we blame ourselves for things that aren't our fault. I call that, misplaced guilt that we take on. All of these little things that come to us as a result of this type of relationship. 3 of Swords can also be a relationship where somebody is very verbally and emotionally abusive. They don't necessarily have to cheat on you, but they cause you pain with their words and their communication and the way they treat you, which is very much a Swords energy. Because they're constantly breaking your trust, breaking your trust. 3 being the number of bonding. When their words and their actions are constantly breaking that bond by either treating you badly or abusing you or berating you or what have you, or just, gaslighting you, all of this sort of, is can affect you in a way, right? It can affect you strongly. And this sort of behavior is all associated with 3 of Swords as well. It doesn't have to at all be just that somebody's cheated on you. This could be a long-term marriage where you've just continued to take the abuse. Now, the baggage that you would naturally take on as a result of that, at some point it becomes so oppressive that you reach a 10 of Wands. I took a moment to get into those 2 cards that I normally would because this is a card aspect that you can see. Take note that this is sort of a traditional, I want to say not traditional, but it's sort of like it's a regular player, right? It's a regular player, this combination of cards. 3 of Swords with 10 of Wands. It's a regular player in readings. You'll find it come up in readings a lot, whether they be private readings or general readings, and it is one of the highest combinations for the beginning of a healing path. All right, so 6 of Cups and King of Cups. So you also have here conscious and unconscious for 2020. So you are consciously moving towards harmony in your relationships. You are consciously this year cultivating your friendships. I'm going to say for some of you, this period of time you were with this person, you were probably very alienated from others, right? Because you want to very much, the focus for you this year is very much sort of 6 of Cups. 6 of Cups is not only just a romantic connections, right? This is soulmate energy. Soulmate aren't only our lovers. We can have friends that are soulmates. We can have teachers that are soulmates, relatives that are soulmates. There are very, very many sort of different connections and relationships in this world and in our lives. And any relationship that is strong, where 2 people really understand each other and connect on a higher level, is a soulmate connection, right? So let's be clear. Now, twin flames is different. Twin flames will be something that is more where 2 people are really drawn to each other, and there's going to be that impact of passion and, of course, romantic and sexual to a degree, right? But with 6 of Cups, we're talking about soulmate energy. So for a lot of you, you are cultivating your long-term relationships, your long-term friendships this year. I think you're going to be working on these because as a result of laying down this burden and letting go of suffering, some of you are coming out of the canon this year with positive energy. And it's interesting. Like I said, you've done your grieving period up until now. When I say you are ready to say goodbye to suffering, you are really ready to say goodbye to suffering. It's not like you then have this like leftover hang up where you don't want to talk to anybody or you don't want to see anybody or, I'm healing, but I just don't feel like getting close to anyone right now because, I'm healing. Okay, I understand that. I understand that motivation. But when you are truly, at that stage to let go of suffering, then you wouldn't continue suffering by alienating yourself from the world. And that is a form of suffering. That is a form of alienating yourself, right? You may believe that you are saving yourself the extra trauma or the heartache in the future, but you are actually stifling your progression. And so the damage of this event is continuing to take its toll. Right? The sooner you are able to actually truly let go of the suffering you've attached to this, which by the way, we do attach to it, and for this example, Capricorn, you are a perfect example of this. You immediately are propelled back out into the world and wanting to have positive, healthy relationships right away in your life. Why starve yourself? King of Cups is in the back of your mind. And so, yes, you are doubling down again on going out and after your love. You are very determined. This sort of 3 of Swords and 10 of Wands, I'm so glad I took a moment to get into that because you come out of the blocks so strong this year, Capricorn. This is a form of a blessing. And again, if you're a regular on my channel and you're a cross watcher, you will know that I've been talking about 2020 being a huge year for blessings on a lot of different levels. And a lot of these blessings are the blessings that we least expect. The blessings of will and strength and confidence and understanding, right? That comes in to truly allow you to lay this down to such a degree that you are ready to jump right back into the world, which is so healthy. So healthy, right? You're not laying it down and then crawling back under your covers. You're not laying it down and then deciding I'm never going to date again. Oh, I feel great. I'm good. I'm healed. I'm just never going to date anybody again. You know what I mean? I mean, when you hear it said, when it's said like that, it's ridiculous. It's like a true healing. You have to be ready to get out there. You know what I'm saying? And you, Capricorn, are a beautiful example of this year. You go out. You reconnect with your soulmates, you reconnect with your friends, which I know for some of you definitely have been alienated in this situation. You also, in the back of your mind, you absolutely take control of deciding the type of relationship you want next. King of Cups is the king of his relationships, the king of his emotions, but he's the one who goes after his mate. He goes after his twin flame, right? He goes after, and this is not gender specific, right? These cards are never gender specific. They are essences of feminine and masculine. However, the King of Cups is one who really sets its sights on the type of relationship he wants or the type of person he wants to be with. He's not sitting back and being receptive like the Queen. He's being forward and moving into the world. And so you also probably at the beginning of the year, for some of you, you may start dating again with intention and vigor. Some of you may be getting online, Now, let me be clear here. This is a time where I'd like to get into this 8 of Swords for a moment. Oh, and here we go. We have another 8 right behind it. Now, remember what I said earlier about 8s, right? I said that I mentioned the Strength card because the Strength card is the major arcana 8. It just so happens that we indeed have 2 8s here for your reading. And so this makes a lot of sense, of course, Capricorn, because 8 is the number for strength. And 8 is the number for boundaries, right? And what I was saying earlier about the Strength card is a very nuanced card. It hasn't shown up here, but I felt its essence here, and I think I felt it because it was, of course, we have 2 8s here. Because the essence of strength is rising above. Like I said, this is a pain to the ego, right? This is the type of heartache that can easily drag us down into our baser emotions. And it is at a time like this that we really need the Strength card, the essence of that is already in us, right? Because all of these cards are a little bit in us. We need to tap into that strength to rise above that. And this is one of the quickest ways to healing. You do this here. with these two eights, right? You have an 8 of swords, and so I pull out the 8 of cups also because it was right underneath, and it's two eights, it's too powerful. But let's deal with 8 of swords first. 8 of swords, of course, talks about, this is my great gaslighter card. This is my sort of victimizer card. This is the person who gaslights you. This is the person who constantly alienates themselves from the world, and then they blame the world because they have no friends. This is the person who's impossible to talk to because they know everything, and then when nobody talks to them, they're pissed off and they blame everybody else for not liking them. This is the person who caused chaos everywhere. You know, this is the person that when they talk to you, you ever talk to somebody and they're all hyper and they're asking a whole bunch of questions, and then when you try to answer them, they act like you're being out of control. They're like, oh, I just asked a question. And then you're like, well, hang on a second, I'm trying to answer your question. That's a typical example of a gaslighter. That's a very tiny example. But that is the essence of a gaslighter. Someone who will continually sort of throw things at you and cause havoc around you and just cause a very, chaotic energy, frenetic energy. And then when you respond with that energy, they act as if something's wrong with you, right? It's a real fucked up energy to be around. I'm going to be honest with you. I can't stand this kind of energy. I have no time for it. I'm a Sagittarius with a Taurus rising. Trust me. I have absolutely no time for sort of this type of toxicity. I've learned a long time ago to see it right away. I can see it within the first few sentences that somebody speaks. I can tell right away, oftentimes if they resonate with this type of energy at all, and it's not like a special skill. Anybody who's paying attention can figure that out, but you have to know what to look for, of course. Now you take absolute control this year because it's like, this is it. This is not the shit you want. You've just come from this shit. And remember what I said earlier as well. It's like this idea of healing and really getting out in the world. When you have gone through a toxic situation, right? And then you sit at home and you say to yourself, now this is it. Oftentimes when you've dealt with a toxic individual, you take on some of their toxicity. The longer you stay with them, the longer you take on some of it. That's why it's so important to very quickly get away from these people. But I oftentimes, will do readings for individuals also who are dealing with coming back from a toxic relationship. And then, what they'll say is that, I just don't like to go out right now because after this last relationship, I don't like to go out, because people out there will attack me, or they will see that I'm weak right now, and they're going, you know what I mean? They blame the world for why they're shut in their house. Right? They blame the assumptions of what the world may do to them based on this last experience, this toxic experience. And so they say, well, you know what? To save myself from the rest of the world treating me unkind and hurting me again, I'm just going to stay inside and alienate myself. This is actually a little bit of 8 of Swords energy. They don't realize that they are already beginning to manifest this type of toxicity themselves. They don't see that this is the nature of this toxicity. Alienating yourself by your own restricted thinking and blaming the whole world around you for it. You can't blame the rest of the world for your experiences, regardless of how bad it was, right? Same thing. So what I say is that this is coming up for 2 reasons. One, you say goodbye to these type of individuals, but also take care not to fall into this trap that when you are definitely this year ready to lay down these burdens, Capricorn, that you indeed come out the blocks like I see here, And I mention this, and I'll tell you why I'm mentioning this, because I'm looking ahead to this 4 of Cups. But the same thing with this 8 of Cups. Also, you make an intentional decision not to sort of pour energy into shitty relationships anymore. Again, with the boundaries. Here we have somebody who has caused alienation and is their own sort of detachment from society by being overly restrictive. But here we see somebody who's finally enforced their boundaries and been disciplined in enforcing their boundaries and saying, look, I'm not going to allow you to get more of my energy, and I'm not going to give you any more of my energy. I'm going to move away and move up to a higher level of engagement. That moving up to a higher level of engagement is all predicated on setting boundaries, which again, 8 is the number for boundaries. And oftentimes knowing what the numbers represent is going to give you an indication of what the theme is here, and so how to approach it. If we know that 8 is the number for boundaries and strength and enforcing boundaries with people to save your strength, then we can see here that the nature of the energy that this individual is using to move away from these toxic relationships is boundaries. They're saying, look, I'm not letting you that close, and I'm not going to give you any more. And I say this all because you come into this year with a 4 of Cups. And so this is it. Be careful that you don't resonate too much with this energy. You may have been dealing with somebody like this. And just as I gave you this example, because you come into the year with a 4 of Cups. Now, 4 of Cups is very, very obstinate. It's very, very defensive. It can go two ways. Now, 4 of Cups can also be, look, people offering you an empty cup and you saying to them, let me put the Magician down for a second so we can concentrate on the 4. So you saying to them, look, you're offering me an empty cup. I've been there before. What else are you offering me? 4, again, is the number for stability. I already have stability in my life. I don't need your cup coming into my life destabilizing me. So I need you to show me more before I budge or acquiesce or accept anything from you. This is one side of the 4 of Cups energy. The other side is someone who is absolutely refusing a cup of love, no matter how genuine it is, and very much in a way to sort of cut their nose off to spite their face. They're refusing help. They're refusing anyone to come in. And so this is the extreme here. And will be somebody who indeed begins to resonate with this sort of toxic energy in the sense that they are alienating themselves, they're shutting themselves off, and they're refusing to accept the help of others. Even though those others, this doesn't only have to be romantic. Sometimes this can just be a cup of love from a friend. But regardless, this can also be somebody, when this energy is extreme, this person who's handing the cup could be a very dear friend who's just trying to offer a hand, and yet this person refuses to accept it, though they need it. And this is, of course, where you begin to sort of alienate yourself. After a while, this individual would get bitter. It is only natural that after a while of this behavior, this person is going to be bitter because they are alienated. And then they're going to eventually want to blame someone for that. And who else better to blame but the rest of the world, right? And so just be careful. You're coming into the beginning of the year with this energy. However, I will say to you this. If indeed you're resonating with the show and prove energy, which is the positive sort of, I want to say healthy and equal balanced energy of the 4 of Cups, then what we're really looking at is you saying, listen, I've been through this, I've been through a lot, and I require people to really step up to a certain level before I engage with them. What do you really have to offer me? And that is really sort of the healthy side of 4 of Cups. And I would hope that, Capricorn, you are absolutely resonating with this coming into January in the sense that you're saying to folks, look, you know, show and prove. Don't just tell me what you can do. Don't just tell me how beautiful I am or how much you could love me or how much you could, don't tell me these things. Show me with your actions. Show me with your actions. Show me with your intentions. Do you do things without me having to ask you to do them? Do you think about me? How do you think about me? Someone has to really sort of they have to show you their intentions with their character. It can't just also be a one-off, oh, okay, well, I'll jump through these hoops, right, for you. That's not it either. When we're talking about evaluating somebody to see if they're going to be the right person for you, you're evaluating their responses, the way they carry themselves, the way they talk, the ideas and opinions that they put out there will tell you a lot about a person. If you're not paying attention to these things, so that you are properly discerning whether or not somebody is right for you, then you're going to continually just be playing the lottery, guessing. You never know. You have to pay attention to these things. And I think that you are, Capricorn. I think that you're being very sort of careful here. Don't be too careful, but I think you're being very careful. And it's interesting because you do have King of Cups, which is very intentional. So you are indeed wanting a love connection, right? You want a love connection, and you're being very in charge of the way it goes. And again, I want to say, I do have this nagging feeling that for some of you, be careful with this Eight of Swords, that you're not getting too severe, that you don't sort of swing and become too domineering, right? Too much Four of Cups, too much in charge, too much sort of unwilling to receive, okay? Just as a backlash from what you've gone through here. Magician comes out because this year you are absolutely in your zone when it comes to career and finance. Absolutely in your zone. And I see that because you have Eight of Pentacles and Knight of Pentacles. What else can I say? The Magician. I mean, you guys, you're riding high in your field. Everything is coming very easily to you, right? You are just absolutely, you're just in your absolute best element, and you're at the top of your game this year. So whatever career you're in, this is a good year for you, right? You're at the top of your game and you're working hard. You approach this year certainly with finance, career in focus, right? And during this healing period, I'm going to say this is very much just the energy that you bring in towards this attitude, because this Three of Swords and the healing from it is going to be a year-long process, right? Because this is the overview for the whole year. But for the most part, your year is going to be about getting paid, Capricorn, and getting that coin. You're working very hard. And here we have another 8. All right, so we've now had all 3 8s. Right, showing up. So again, this is talking about a year of tapping into that strength, tapping into sort of, the need to be restrictive with yourself and disciplined, the need to enforce boundaries with others and not to allow just any Tom, Dick, or Susie to come in, right? And you are met with the Knight of Pentacles in the sense that you are sort of met, your whole year is helping you along your path. Right? The whole year is sort of, the universe and your life and everything is sort of orienting itself to favor this sort of career path that you're making. Because the Knight of Pentacles talks about a journey towards to manifesting an opportunity that, the Knight will absolutely achieve. Because the Knight is the slowest Knight in the deck, but he's the most methodical, and he achieves whatever he sets his mind out to. So you're met with this real energy of moving forward, progressing forward, achieving your goal. Your hopes and dreams and your outcome. Ace of Wands is your hopes and dreams. So you hope and dream for a new relationship and basically a new lease on life. You're hoping for a whole new sort of path of creativity, but certainly for passion. You want passion. You want to be able to move forward with your dreams here. And I think for you, you absolutely want to be able to move forward with a love connection. So it's like you're definitely, you more than anything, you want to heal from this situation, which you will be doing throughout the year. But by the end of the year, I'm going to say that although you may also fear, because this is a position of fear, you may fear something new coming in. We all do to a little bit. We're apprehensive, right? And you may have still some lingering sort of self-doubt, right? But for the most part, this is what you truly desire. And by the end of the year, you will be able to call it in. You will, however, round the year off with a Five of Pentacles. And this is very interesting, Capricorn. Five of Pentacles does indeed indicate a split, a divide. It's a power struggle. It's a power struggle where a split has occurred in the dynamic, in the group dynamic, a split, or in the dynamic between you and someone else. But oftentimes this can be with a group as well, because we're talking about Pentacles being sort of like in your career and business, right? So there's a divide, there's a split, there's a power struggle, and oftentimes, so this is pulled in your reading, so you are the one who has to generally come out paying the price for it, right? You start all over again. This can be an example of, in a love reading, this would be an example of a fight or an argument where you guys break up and then one of you move, and now all of a sudden finances is an issue, or you get divorced and finances is an issue. In business, it can be just a break in the power dynamic or disagreement or politics, office politics, career, business politics, and you are kind of ostracized, or you may lose a job as a result of something like this, and you have to pick yourself up again. But interestingly enough, take heed and don't worry, because Five of Pentacles is very much one of these 2 steps backwards, 10 steps forwards cards. It is a moment, and I often associate it with Panther energy also. It is a momentary sort of like relapse or sort of step back that you have, blow that you have, knock that you have. But it always occurs it almost always occurs in situations where the power dynamic was only ever going to explode or implode, right? It was always going to sort of fall apart. The power dynamic or the power sort of struggle was always there. And so it was inevitable, but the way it went down, it was good for you in the long run because it really got rid of a lot of obstacles to something much, much greater. And so it's interesting that you would have an Ace of Wands in this position, which is your real dream to start something really passionate. And certainly, or a relationship that is also very passionate. Anything to do with that, this Wands also. This is really what you desire, it's something that's going to be very ambitious for you, Capricorn, because you are ambitious. And then you have this divide, and it's almost as if this event happens towards the end of the year just to set you up to bring that in. And this could indeed be at work, right, in your career, in your business. I'm just going to go ahead and pull a few clarifiers, and then we're going to call this. It's a long reading, but I decided to spend a little time with you guys, Capricorn. Yeah, I think that divide, that breakdown at the end of the year, it's going to be one that is inevitable. And it may happen in your business because, of course, for the most part in your year, you're going to be dealing with healing from a love connection, right? Right here. And so you are knuckling down this year and you are working towards your objective. But it's interesting that towards the end of the year, you also then have this sort of like power divide that happens or power struggle that happens in your job or your business, right? And it's almost as if, and like I said, this comes in situations that were going to happen anyway, right? The dynamics were often, it was always ever going to fall apart anyway. So it's interesting that you kind of hold on to your job throughout the year so that you can have the support and sort of the rock, the basis, and the finances to be able to get through this healing. And just as you come out of this healing towards the end of the year and get a bit sort of back on top, you take this financial knock in your career because, of course, now you're resonating a little stronger here with your self-confidence and you're able to have this power divide and pick yourself back up. If this were to happen now, the way you feel now, it would probably be overwhelming, is what I'm saying, right? It would be too much. So it's being delayed. And this is an example of how the universe, just really conspires to weave, the life that you have. There you are, Princess of Discs, the Magician showing up again. 6 of Discs, a lot of rewards, and 6 of Cups. Bottom of the deck is 2 of Wands. So definitely, 2 of Wands talks about action, moving out in the world. Certainly, you are going after your dreams this year, wanting to have this great change, and like I say, you really jump back into it. Yeah, 6 of Cups is covered with Princess of Discs. Princess of Discs is the same as the Page, and so we're talking about being really practical. And like I said, this year you're really being very sort of like practical about it. You're getting out and about. You're really in a very real way. You're really reconnecting with friends. You may be very, very sociable this year at a time after a time of not being so much, right? And Princess of Discs understands that, to have a healthy future in a lot of ways, you have to have a healthy sort of connection with people and a healthy social life, right? A healthy family life and all of these things. So this year, with this sort of really earthy, practical aspect of Princess of Discs being applied to these relationships, it's like you take a real concerted effort to get a lot of these sort of connections back, in a real sort of everyday flow. Maybe friends you haven't seen before, you maybe start having your once-a-week dinner with them again and things like that. Real life sort of activities that you're bringing to this on a regular basis. The Magician imbalance comes in over this King of Cups. So yeah, you are absolutely going to be resonating with some strong sort of flirting energy this year. I think you're going to be doing a lot of dating, a lot of intentional dating. It's the Magician over the King of Cups, so you know what you're doing. And I don't think that you're going to be necessarily so ready for a one-on-one relationship. This is just perhaps going to be a real year of you just kind of like enjoying being out and about, dating different people. 6 of Discs, success comes out over that 4 of Cups. Yeah, so you are indeed, and I think this year, again, your main focus is your coin. And so, yeah, you're into dating. right? And here we have 6 of Cups coming out again. So you've got your 6 of Cups doubled out in the clarifiers here. You have 2 Magicians and 2 6 of Cups. 6 of Discs here, also more harmony. But yeah, you're not willing to accept a cup of love for any intensive relationship, but you're more than happy to date because this year it's all about making your money. 6 of Discs talks about success, having the kind of success that you can help others. You can now give money away. You know what I mean? It's good. 6 of Discs also talks about sort of being in a healthy space where you can give and receive, but certainly with finances, we're talking about resonating up, resonating up to a position where you could possibly be a benefactor or be charitable. You know what I'm saying? You have to make a certain amount of money to have that status. So here we go again. We have, not only did we get the Magician doubled up, we got the 6 of Cups doubled up, and again, pleasure. Right, this is the Thoth deck, and this year it's all about pleasure for you. You're wanting to cultivate good friendships. You're wanting to date a lot. You want to enjoy and have harmonious relationships, whether that is romantically or with your family or with your friends. You just don't want any strife or aggro. You certainly don't want any sort of commitment this year. Not this year. Maybe next year with this Ace of Wands, but certainly not this year. All right, guys, I am going to leave it. This is your clarifier and your reading for Capricorn for 2020 outlook. This is a really beautiful year for you, Capricorn. You're going to be doing a lot of healing. You're going to certainly be increasing your coin. All of my collective this year is increasing their money. I don't see any signs for anyone of having a serious sort of financial difficulties or difficulties achieving anything in your business or your career, your finances. If anything, a lot of you are getting blessings of healing, blessings of being able to let go and truly move forward. There may be ups and downs, but ultimately there is good stuff and good abundance coming in. All right, Capricorn, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. If you want a private reading, the private readings are just like this. I set up a live stream for just you and me, a private live stream that only you and I can view at the time of the reading, and then we chat over the phone while I conduct the reading, and it goes like that so that we are interactive and talking about whatever your question is, and I really do enjoy doing those. Now, you can go ahead and follow me on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, but for right now, Capricorn, have a wonderful, wonderful 2019, and I wish you all the best starting out in 2020. Bye-bye.